Hello, my name's Graham Dale, and I'd like to talk about a rather bizarre situation, which, if it develops, could lead to Britain losing £31 billion of direct inward investment because of the way in which we treat Gallus domesticus, otherwise known as that beautiful, bounteous bird of plenty, the common chicken. You may well ask, how can the common chicken exercise such a significant role in inward investment into Britain? Well, it's a convoluted story, and I can begin it with some good news. The good news being that Britain is third in the world in the investment into AI and associated technologies, after, of course, the United States and China. And we, in fact, invest more than the entire European Union combined. And this happy state of affairs is directly a result of Britain no longer being in the European Union. As a free, independent nation state, we can, of course, pursue our best interests throughout the world with whomever we choose. Clearly, investment in AI and associated technologies is going to be huge over the next decade. The Americans in 2025, the American big tech companies, announced that they were going to invest over the next decade £150 billion, that's $190 billion, in AI research. This is good news for Britain because also in 2025, in September of that year, President Trump, on his second state visit to Britain, his second coming, if you like, signed with Prime Minister Starmer a technology and prosperity deal, which envisaged the introduction, the investment of £31 billion in the UK in AI, quantum computing, civil nuclear research, for example, into nuclear fusion, where Britain is a world leader. Unfortunately, the progression of the tech and prosperity deal has been suspended because the negotiations between Britain and America with regard to a free trade agreement have stalled. Now, negotiating a free trade agreement with a country with an economy the size of the US is no easy thing. And there are bound to be hiccups along the way. And currently, the hiccups which appear to be stalling the FTA relate to digital tax, online safety, and agricultural produce. And it's the agricultural produce aspect that I would like to consider. The agricultural sector in the United States is enormous. And to give you an example, they are the world's largest producer of broiler chickens. They produce actually 20% of total global supply. And in 2024, they produced 9.46 billion, and I would emphasize it is billion and not million, 9.46 billion broiler chickens for meat, with a value of over $46 billion. So you see that this is a huge sector within a huge industry. And naturally enough, the Americans are keen in their free trade agreement to have access to the British market. In preparing chicken for the market in America, after the chickens have been slaughtered and whatever else you do with them, but before they are packaged for human consumption, they are subjected to a chlorine wash. And the idea is to kill off any foodborne bacterium, such as Campylobacter and Salmonella, which might be lurking on the carcasses. The European Union doesn't like this. They much prefer to deal with the same problem, i.e. foodborne contamination, by improving the sanitary conditions, the hygiene conditions in the production of chicken meat. If you like, they're emphasizing husbandry. I personally feel that the European Union attitude is basically one of keeping American very cost-effective chlorine-washed chicken out of the European market. But there we are. The European Union also seems to be rather hypocritical on this point. Whilst they seem to be concerned with the welfare of chickens, they don't show the same concern for the slaughter, the unstunned slaughter of sentient animals for halal and kosher purposes. And nor do they seem to have a particular problem with the way in which ducks and geese are force-fed, whilst alive, of course, in order to increase their liver size 10 times for the production of foie gras. However, the ban on the import of chlorinated chicken into the European Union became effective in 1997. And as Britain was a member of the European Union then, the ban also applied to Britain. The ban still persists in Britain, notwithstanding the fact that the European Food Standards Authority has determined that chlorine-washed foodstuffs are in no way injurious to human health. So the situation that Britain finds itself in, excuse me, or more particularly that Starmer finds himself in, is that we either agree to the importation of chlorine-washed chicken from the United States, or we can say goodbye to the free trade agreement and the concomitant tech and prosperity deal and its £31 billion of inward investment. Now, if we had a pragmatic Prime Minister, I'm sure that that pragmatic Prime Minister would address the public, put his hand on his heart, adopt a solemn countenance, lament the poor treatment of chickens, but then go on to say, we'd much prefer to have a £31 billion worth of investment into high tech. Unfortunately, the expression pragmatic Prime Minister, when applied to Keir Starmer, is something of an oxymoron. Keir Starmer is a strange man. He appears to be a man of principle, but probably would announce, given an opportunity, I am a man of principle, but I have others if you don't like them. The problem with Starmer is that he was a fervent Remainer in the debate about the European Union. And since becoming the UK Prime Minister, has become something of a rejoiner. And at the moment is, through his EU resets, the deception of his so-called EU resets, is taking Britain closer and closer to the orbit of the European Union. The purpose, in my mind, is that we shall ultimately rejoin the European Union. And one way in which he is doing this is to adopt what is called dynamic alignment, whereby the European Union makes up all the rules and regulations, and then hands them down to member states who have to accept them and get on with them. And Britain would be receiving these directives, diktats from the EU without having any say in their creation. So we would be put in a position where the EU, through dynamic alignment, requires us not to import chlorinated chicken from the United States. So this is Starmer's dilemma. Is he going to put the best interests of Britain first, and dine on chlorinated washed chicken nuggets with Colonel Sanders in the White House? Or is he going to cozy up to Frau von der Leyen at the European Union, sharing a glass of claret, a plate of foie gras, and Melba toast? We all know what he should do, but will he? I have my serious doubts.